If you take one thing away from this episode, let it be this. Sleep isn't a luxury. It's the foundation for everything else. And you don't need to earn it. It's not selfish to rest. It's smart. Hey Janice, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So, you are an occupational therapist and you run your own practice, Wellness Through Sleep, that helps people of all ages get better sleep. And there's a story that you tell in the chapter, the moment that you realized that you were not prioritizing your sleep. Can you take us back to that and tell us what happened there?
I feel so silly. Okay, I was a new mom and I was upgrading my education and starting a business. I was exhausted, overwhelmed, and I'm sitting in this lecture hall about sleep. And we're talking about, what clients might benefit from working or improving their sleep. And so we're talking about the symptoms of lack of sleep, overwhelm, stress, difficulty problem solving, like all of these things. And so I'm like writing these all down and I'm looking at them. This sure describes me. Right. And I keep going, not even thinking. I'm like, oh, yeah, I have this, I have this. And there was a little bit of a break in the lecture. And I was looking and I essentially went and I checked things off. And I'm like, I have all of these. It was just a light bulb moment where I should have known this. And I felt really silly not knowing this because I had talked to clients about sleep for years. I just had specialized in sleep. I needed to get more rest and I was prioritizing all of those again, those ticky boxes that I had to get done, right? I had to do this and I had to do this. And really I wasn't doing them to my satisfaction. I was feeling like just wasn't my best in any of those roles. Reading that sleep could help me, with my problem solving and help me with my mood and help me with all of these pieces. I'm like, that's what I need to do. And to be quite frank, the lazy part of me is like, that's the easiest thing for me to do. So I decided, I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to prioritize it and see what happens.
So there was one part of the book that you mentioned that society doesn't value sleep, and we often praise people that do things on like 2 hours of sleep, and we're thinking, wow, that person's a rock star. I didn't realize that connection, that we tend to do that, and then maybe that in turn makes us not focus on sleep or not think it's a priority. Why do you think that that belief is there, and how can we change that?
Well, I think we live in a society that really promotes and really values how productive we are, right? We go on Facebook and we see everybody doing these amazing things, and we start to, I think it's human nature to start to compare ourselves. Look at this mom or look at this person doing this amazing activity and also doing all of these other amazing things. And so we feel the need to kind of keep being productive, to keep having those check boxes, right? We've done this, we've done this. And sleep is one of those things where it seems very unproductive, right? We're not actually getting anything done on the outside, but on the inside, the amount of things that are happening, I think sleep is very productive. But it's hard to put that tangible value to it, right? Um, and so I think the more people know about sleep, the more people know about how sleep can impact them positively, I think that will slowly start to change our perceptions.
Hmm.
And I think the awareness of just, when we say, oh, I'll sleep when I'm dead, or like, that's okay, I don't need any sleep. I'll just
Yeah.
keep going, or that's what coffee is for, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The awareness of how those conversations or that those comments kind of enhance that belief that sleep is something that we can kind of just push to the side, and just being aware when you say it and aware of how that might like promote that thought process.
I have a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old, and my son is a great sleeper, and my daughter, it was just a disaster. So I was really tired during the first, I think, 2 to 3 years. What can moms do to prioritize sleep? These exhausted moms where you feel like you can't prioritize sleep because you just don't have the time. So what are some ways that we can?
So I had to start time blocking and putting it into my calendar as something that was important. My oldest child didn't sleep for longer than 2 hours for 18 months. And it was really, really hard. But when he did sleep, I was getting a bunch of things done, right? So I had to time block. This is time for me to sleep. I'm getting something done, right? So I had to change my belief. I had to make that time. I had to let things go a little bit. It was okay. Um, that my friends came over and my house was a mess.
Yeah.
right? It was okay. I also had to rely on some of my support systems, and that was really hard for me. I'm not somebody
Mhm.
who relies or asks for help a lot, but asking for, a friend to come and help take care of my children or helping me to just sort of make sense of things or organize things and just having
Mhm.
those supports. The funny thing about sleep is when we don't get enough sleep, we start to feel disconnected socially.
Yeah.
And when we get more sleep, we connect. And so I had to kind of reverse that and kind of connect socially to be able to get the supports I needed. And then I was able to get more sleep. And then that in turn kind of made me feel more socially connected with my friends and family.
Yeah.
And I think it comes from just being able to say it's okay if I'm taking a rest. It's okay like what I need for it to become like the best version of myself for my kids. And for me, the self talk is often, if it was a doctor's appointment for my children, it's absolutely 100% important, right? And I would be there 100%. If it was, a meeting at a school for my child, I'd be there 100%. Soccer tournaments, I bring them every single time. And
Yeah.
so saying that it's okay to prioritize myself as well, that sleep is just as important as that doctor appointment, just as
Yeah.
important as that soccer game that I bring my child to.
Yeah.
Um, and so really challenging those beliefs that, I can it's okay if I wait till tomorrow to get this extra sleep. It's
Yeah.
okay if I push this back.
Yep. We don't have to do everything. We don't have to be perfect. It's okay. I think that's so important. I remember how I was when I was going through that stage with my daughter and she wasn't sleeping. And I do remember I was so irritable and so overwhelmed. And I actually didn't connect that even if I laid down more rather than trying to do things to make my house look perfect or to make food or something. That's really insightful. But do you need to have, especially for a new mom, do you need to have like the full 8 hours exactly? Or is it if you have maybe 2 hours in the day and then another 2 hours in the evening and then a few hours at night? Is that sufficient?
Yeah. So the ideal is that we have consolidated sleep. That as a new parent, especially with a newborn, that's likely not going to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
And so definitely having pockets of sleep can be helpful. And that's essentially where I started when I had my
Yeah.
younger children. Now that they're older, of course I'm focusing on consolidated night sleep. But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's really prioritizing, you know what, it's okay for me to take a 2 hour sleep. It's not going to be as good as if I had an 8 hour sleep. Um, and to just like put some context around that 8 hours is all of us need a different amount. So I was actually just listening to a podcast about somebody who is saying there's new research coming out that women actually need closer to 10, more hormonal health,
Mhm.
and that men need less than women. Really, honestly, I think it's individual. I've worked with people who like are able to wake up independently, feel rested, function well at 7 hours of sleep. And I've also worked with people that if they're getting 8 and not 9, um, they're not feeling their best, right? And so it's about kind of your ideal. So if you can, as a new mom with children who aren't letting you have that full 8 hours or 9 hours that you need at night, if you're not able to get that, absolutely take it where you can get it. And I know that we hear that all the time. We hear, rest when baby rests. And then we all laugh because, well, when does baby rest?
Yeah, exactly.
So, um, but it also might be, calling a friend and saying, "Hey, I have a coffee machine and a baby that wants snuggles."
Yeah, yeah.
Save yourself from having your own other next baby, and you can come snuggle mine, or whatever it
Yeah.
is that.
Yeah, yeah. Reaching out to your support system a little bit more and not feeling like you have to do it all. I think a lot of us, I was like that too, by the way. I thought I had to do it all. And
So
then I
good.
realized afterwards I didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was exactly like that. And I, felt pressure to do all like the, signing and all, and I had to learn about this so that I could make sure they were meeting all the developmental milestones. And um, but a lot of it is being able to say, you know what, that's important. That's very, very important. But so am I. And
Yeah.
I'll be able to be creative in making games and activities for my children better and quicker if I have an extra little bit of sleep.
And how does sleep help us deal with our overwhelm?
So The biggest way that I believe it helps us is with that emotional regulation. So when we're having poor sleep, we will react quicker to things as well as with greater intensity. So we're going to feel just a magnified overwhelm when we're tired. In addition, when we're sleeping well, we're able to regulate our stress hormones because sleep and regulation of hormones go hand in hand. And so we're able to regulate the hormone cortisol better, which causes us to have both physical and emotional changes in our feelings of stress and overwhelm.
Hmm.
And the last piece is almost preventative. So it allows us to problem solve and plan and organize and be creative thinkers. And all of that allows us to kind of deal with, the everyday things that cause that overwhelm, right? Something comes up, a change in plans causes that increase in stress. If we're getting good rest, we're able to problem solve and come up with a plan to address that. And then lastly, and I think I've mentioned this earlier, was just allows us to connect with each other socially. So when we're getting poor sleep, we might miss social cues. We might just not feel as connected with
Yeah.
others. And let's face it, we're social beings, right?
Yeah.
And we're wired for connection. And when we feel isolated, the feelings of overwhelm and stress increase. And so it allows us to address those feelings through just connecting with others and having people be our sounding boards and feeling comfortable and confident in talking to them.
And you focus on clients of all ages. What's something that we all have in common when it comes to our sleep beliefs?
Well, the clients who come to me, they usually are having trouble sleeping. So when a lot of it is about that belief of, I can't sleep. Um, so, I've always struggled to sleep, or this is just me.
Hmm.
I just never have been able to sleep. And that belief is kind of that self-fulfilling prophecy. And so oftentimes I'll work a lot with my clients on the beliefs around that sleep piece.
Hmm.
We also have a lot of beliefs about what we need to be able to sleep well,
Hmm.
right? So people will come to me and say, I need this, this, and this to be able to sleep well. And if those things don't happen, then my sleep isn't good.
Hmm.
And so what happens is we kind of get tied to those then, right? And we kind of are kind of locked in this box. And so creating kind of a more openness on that sleep will happen. Sleep is a natural state of being,
Hmm.
and promoting the environment and like creating situations where you're promoting that sleep, right? In healthy ways, I think is important.
So there's a great post on your Instagram about how we often spend a lot of time in our children's bedtime routines. It's like they're elaborate routines sometimes, right, for our kids. But then we don't really focus on a bedtime routine for ourselves. Why is it important to create one for us as well?
So I think it's even more important for us to create one than for our kids. Um, And the reason for that is it sets the stage, right? For that healthy, restorative, relaxing sleep. Most of us are running around all day with our to do list and our stress and all of this that comes with life. And then we go to bed and we might scroll on our cell phone or watch TV or do something else for however long, but we don't take time to really relax before bed. And that relaxing allows us to set the stage for like a restorative, like a quality sleep. Generally speaking, our bodies don't tend to work on like a light switch kind of, we can't just
Yeah.
turn ourselves on and turn ourselves
Yeah.
off. And the same thing goes for sleep. If we want quality sleep, if we want to be able to go to sleep easily, it means that we need to kind of set the stage and kind of prep our body to fall asleep. So I think those sleep routines and kind of rituals around sleep, it kind of triggers us, right? Okay, it's now time to rest and relax. I can turn things off. I can stop worrying. And for people who, a lot of us, for me, for example, I used to often go to bed and then create my to-do list in my head, right?
Yeah, I
Like,
do
okay,
that
tomorrow,
sometimes. Yeah.
right? And so when you have a bedtime routine that has that spot to create a to-do list, so I do that
Hmm.
before I go to bed for the next day, what happens is we stop doing it in our bed.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like that pairing, right? If we are always worrying or we're always creating a to-do list in our bed, some of us might start to have trouble falling asleep because we start to pair our bed as that time to worry or that time
Hmm.
to do our to-do list. So if we do it beforehand in a part of our bedtime routine, then it's
Hmm.
no longer paired with our bed. And then our bed is for sleep. Typically speaking, for people who might have trouble sleeping, that that's really important to have kind of that pairing of bed equals sleep. It doesn't equal anything else. Sleep and intimacy only.
I love that. I'm going to start doing that today. I'm going to do my to-do list before I go to my bed because
Yeah.
you're right. Sometimes I'll wake up, oh, I have to write that too. But it's better to do it away from the bedroom so that it's associated with that place. That's yeah, that's a great tip. What inspired you to be a part of this book?
Initially when I was approached by Leanne, I said no. I had a lot of self doubt about what I could add to all the information that's already out there on sleep. And I have a hard time viewing myself as an expert on it. Even though I've been working in the area of sleep for so long, there's so much about it and there's so much information and there's so many people that I look up to in the sleep world that it was hard for me to feel that confidence to really to put something on paper about myself out there.
Mm.
But through the conversations with Leanne, I think it became pretty clear that this book would be the opportunity to educate people on why sleep is important. And I think especially for moms, when I became a mom and, a small business owner and I had all these competing commitments and responsibilities, it was really hard for me to identify why sleep was important. And
Mm.
so I felt like this book was a way for me to communicate to other women in similar situations that, sleep is important and it is possible to get good sleep. And kind of be more hopeful, right? Because sometimes when you're in the trenches there, becoming a mom and becoming a business owner, it becomes really hard to then also see, I can do this. I'm tired, but I can get better sleep and I can feel rested. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad you joined the project because I found your chapter it was educational, but there was a few aha moments in there. And there were things that you said that made me think differently. Throughout this author journey, it's been a challenge for all of us, right? Like we've all dealt with some issues, some challenges we've overcome. What was the most important lesson that you learned about yourself?
That's a tough question because I've found this journey to be a roller coaster of emotions. I've been excited. I've been, oh man, what am I doing? But I think the biggest lesson for me personally, and where I think I've grown the most, is that it forced me to sit in that level of discomfort, right? Of, I don't know, like, that self doubt, that doing something new and difficult, kind of pushing myself out of that comfort zone and really learning that it's okay to be in that discomfort.
Mhm.
It's okay for that growth. And it's
Yeah.
actually spurred me to make decisions in the last, say, 4 months that I normally wouldn't have done, that I have and have created some really great opportunities for me to move forward. And so I think that learning about, it's okay to be uncomfortable. It's okay to be nervous and fearful of putting myself out there and feeling that level and having nothing bad happen from that. Right.
Yeah.
And so now it's okay for me to do that in other areas. And so it's grown my business a little bit over the last 4 months and it's changed the way I've done some things with family. And I'm like so grateful for that.